Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, May 28th. Here for the Board of Trustees business meeting for Kennebunk Light and Power. We had a executive session scheduled for 5 o'clock for attorney input concerning our hydro facilities. However, due to unforeseen circumstances, the attorney was unable to make it. And so we are now going to continue on with our regular scheduled meeting. So our board review of March 2019 financials.
Let me get my computer up and running here.
Todd, I'm assuming you're doing that where Matt's not here tonight?
Yes. And Matt knows that you guys like to have him here.
Yeah, look at this.
So, our first exhibit for tonight's meeting is Matt's doctor's note.
Can you check this?
You can?
You guys see, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on how it does to the camera.
Yeah, that's just Matt's doctor's note. We're not gonna use this the whole night.
All right, and we'll leave it back on?
Yep. There we go. So, Matt is not with us. The financials are in your packet.
Is that okay?
Any questions for me, I will pass, if I can't answer them, I'll pass them on to Matt.
Okay.
So, if I can try, he's got conjunctivitis, so he's contagious, so he can't come in. So I haven't talked to him about the financials and what he was gonna comment on, but
Yep.
these are the expenses, revenues, statement of financial position, our graphs, delinquent cash, kilowatt hours. I'm gonna make note or bring your attention to the on the page with the graphs. On the right hand side below days of cash, the capital cash on hand, 415,000. That's the money we've been setting aside to do projects. I bring that to your attention now because we'll discuss it later on in the meeting. That is specifically restricted to capital projects funds.
Alright, so let's just start on page 1 with revenues. Anyone have any questions there? Expenses, Matt's given us an explanation on the adjustment on the administrative costs there, being state of Maine annual regulatory assessment. It was just a timing issue. Everyone's good on that. Statement of revenues.
The solar revenue, solar expense, 100,000 more or less.
It's a wash.
Yes, that's that's what's being generated in the district
That's
for the solar array.
the array.
Yes, it is.
Because the rooftop stuff is up above.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's a new.
And this is an addition because it was requested at the last meeting that you called it out for us.
That's correct.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Statement of financial position on page 3. I'm sorry, we all set with that page, Jay?
I think so, thanks, Tuffy. Yeah.
March was a good month for kilowatt hour sales. 305,000 kilowatt hours above March of 18.
Interesting.
And
Is the explanation there the continued growth of the demand, or is it a seasonal thing? It was colder than we?
I believe it was a seasonal thing. This time March it was a weird. There was a lot of rain as well, so we're noticing some pumps make a big difference in people's houses. So if they're running, I don't know if it's 305,000 kilowatt hours worth, but there's been a lot of them going.
Interesting.
Yeah. I had to replace it. It ran so much I burned it out.
Yep, my dad replaces his every 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it still is shown as less year over year. Kilowatt hours sold in the chart
Yes.
was lower in April of this year than last.
Maybe everybody's buying electric cars.
That's not the case.
My bills are up.
Oh, I bet.
So, question on this page?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just the delinquent accounts percent of monthly sales
Yes?
popped up quite a bit here from 2018. It doesn't seem like it would be, there's enough there that it would be that we have so much more sales going on. What's going on there, do you know? I don't see.
I would have, we have had
That's
one
awesome.
customer, we've had one large user customer that's approximately 35,000 a
Right.
month that has been late on their payments, so I'm assuming that that must be the timing on that as well.
Didn't we get that fixed last month?
Well, last month, but this month was a problem
Late
again,
again.
so
I see.
it impacts the same even if they're not 60 to 90 now, but they're still,
Okay.
Right, because the 91 plus days is actually down from last year.
yeah.
Okay.
61 to 90 is
Yeah.
roughly the same.
That's right.
Give or take.
It's
Okay.
they're not making it to that 29 days.
They're pushing it right to the disconnect time.
Yeah.
They're pushing it right to the
They
disconnect.
must be making good interest somewhere. Turn this on when we get that.
But they're valued, I mean,
We very regularly in contact with them, actually.
but they're a good, I don't even know what business it is, but,
They're a good business.
okay.
Yeah, they're not
a
going,
business.
they're not going anywhere. I think it's timing of federal payments for this business.
Okay. All right, any other questions on the financials?
Yeah, just the hydro is the reason the depreciation is bumped up because we've had some new investment in the hydro. Did we have capital expenses at the hydro?
There have been capital expenses.
Because it's up 6,000 basically a month. No, it's not. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong column.
Yeah, year to date.
I'm sorry. Okay, so, yeah, so I guess I can't really see where, yeah.
Approximately, because, 2027 times 12 is about 24,328.
Okay, so we're on track.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Where's this so far?
So far, we have produced year to date
Says
98,000.
What about in the last couple of months?
This is through the end of March. I don't have,
No, we just had,
I don't have, we've been generating those, so,
Well, year-to-date is 98,000.
yeah.
And April was 64,000,
Yeah, April's a good month.
so,
Yeah, we got everything, well, we got Kessler and Twyman, Dane Perkins running properly. I'll give that update when we get into the agenda.
okay.
all right. Any other questions on the financials?
Thank you.
I did notice cash on hand went up like 10.
We sold the tree truck.
That tree, yeah, so,
Okay.
No, not the tree truck, the bucket truck, the spare bucket.
So it went from 45,
You get nine.
40 to 45,
Yep,
and 50/50, that's 105.
yep.
but that's gonna change when we start spending on Rosswood.
Exactly. Exactly.
Motion to accept the financials as presented.
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Ross Road bid award timeline and expenses to date.
Okay, so, let's go over the bid award first. Yes, so we got 4 bids. The apparent lowest bidder didn't understand the bidding, so they did not qualify. The next lowest bidder was actually the one that vetted the best, period, and that was USA Services. Their bid is here, provided for you. I have it in your packet. On that cover sheet, you'll see total bid not to exceed $222,075. We're going to actually reduce that a bit because we're going to negotiate flagging. They had $40,000 in flagging, and we know that the company we work with can do it for less than that. So we're going to absorb the flagging costs as opposed to getting charged double on it. So our recommendation, Kevin's recommendations, the engineers that reviewed this project's recommendation is to go with USA for the amount of $222,075. $222,075.
Is the B3 others, the 43,200, is that your flaggers?
Yes, there's another 3,200 in there for a pole that they need to reset because of the Ross Road project that this town's gonna be doing, but, so that's the additional 3,200, but the 40,000 is the flagging.
So,
We're estimating about 20,000 in flagging. So if,
and I didn't do the math on this.
182, it's $182,075 without the flagging.
Okay, but you still need to pay for the flagging anyways.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So you think you're gonna save 20 on that?
We do.
And pay 20?
Yeah, well, after talking to the guy, Tom from USA, he and Kevin and I talked, and he said he just didn't know what to expect, so he had to put in a number there.
Well, the job market's so tight that.
Yeah, and that can be a problematic area for traffic, so he threw in a big number. We talked to him and he agreed. He said he didn't, he thought 20 would be a exceedingly large number, but he didn't want us to get shocked if it was more than that. So after we talked, Kevin understands the flagging and the flaggers that we use, and it'll be about a $20,000 savings.
So, are we gonna pull the flagging piece out, or are they gonna
Yes.
pay you for the flaggers, or?
We are gonna pay the flaggers directly, and then they're gonna schedule them.
Okay,
So
we need to reduce this amount.
by 40,000. So $182,075.
And overall, did this come in where you thought it was going to come in, or?
It was.
You were speaking like it was gonna be,
I thought it would be about 50,000 less. The other two bidders were 50,000 more than the other two bidders were 270, 280. So it's gotten a lot more complicated. There's three-phase, there's a neutral, but I'd never gone out to a bid like that. And Mark had given a ballpark years ago, and Kevin gave a ballpark of about 150 or so is what he thought. We were hoping that was gonna be the high number, and that was actually lower than the low number.
Were the engineers surprised?
No, they weren't. I was afraid that we were getting blowback from the transmission line for CMP, but he said industry standard, industry-wide, the prices that they gave us are consistent with what they're seeing in other projects.
and this is coming out of the 300,000
The 400, yeah, there's 415 that's in there now.
in the capital,
That's correct.
so.
Well, they're not gonna keep bumping this table.
Yeah. And this is all work that's gonna be completed this year?
Yes. Yes, if and when the bid is awarded, if the board votes to award.
What
then
about the
I'll-
piece about the tree trimming and stuff, is that?
Yeah, we'll go
So
through
that's
all of
separate
that.
from this?
Yeah,
Like
no,
part of
that's
it,
out.
but it's separate.
Correct, yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions on the bid that's been provided? Dan, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. Need a motion to accept it right for that, for 182,075.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
You must be happy, Bob.
Thank you very much.
I'll
Now,
take it down.
Exactly.
Dan, if you want to dim the lights, I'm trying to make these meetings a little more exciting. Can you see that, Duffy?
Yep.
Okay.
You're even doing a nice job cutting.
I can see it real well.
This is, so this is Ross Road.
Okay.
This is the Kennybunk Rehabilitation Clinic. I just have this picture to show you. There was a large pine tree that they took. So you can see here, there's the old pole, there's the new pole. So this section wasn't as bad. The town's gonna come in and extend their shoulders as they go on the project. But this has been trimmed, they're trimming Ross Road. You can see this oak has to come out,
Yeah.
and this is where it hasn't been cut, just to show the difference.
That end of Ross Road had a lot of overgrowth.
Oh, horrible.
This is a big tree over by Bob Emmons' house, not this Bob, the Robert Emmons' house, the electrician, on the other end of Ross
Other end of
Road.
Ross Road.
This is where they were working today. They're cleaning up in to get ready for this project.
Just a lot of work.
This is the S corner. The pictures aren't that great because of the weather, but you can just see how much cleaner it is through there. You can see through You can see the poles. Ground cutting wasn't something that our crew ever did. These guys ground cut everything. So this is the S-curve on, this is the, coming from Fletcher Street, this is the big hard corner. You can see they just, everything is way back.
They're doing a nice job.
They are doing a really nice job.
That's good.
This is the other view of that corner. You can see it's just kind of, it's cleaned up a lot. And then this is the best one in my opinion. You can just see this is Ross Road now, and you know,
That's looking
that
down
vegetation was right on the poles. That's coming from
the corner looking towards Fletcher.
Yes, exactly. The pictures really don't do it justice.
Yeah, you really gotta
Get out there
drive
and
it
look.
to
It's
see it.
just
I mean, it's
amazing.
I drove it the other day and I noticed, I'm like, wow.
So that's that item. Now we can put this away for a few minutes and we'll go into the next item. Oh, okay, so that's that. Nope, leave that on. So this is in the packet. I have the schedule for the project.
Right.
We're still about 8 weeks out for wire. We ordered it a couple of weeks ago, so 6 or 8 more weeks out. And then this will give us, it'll be a 12-week project all told. They're ready to pull wire at 4 weeks. So we're hoping that we'll be able to time it right, that they can start that week. They'll be at week 4 by the time the wire comes, and then they can start pulling wire right when it arrives. So it's a 12-week. If we start, I would say, if we start at end of June,
They'll be done almost by September.
yeah. So it'll be a nice thing to get it, and we're already working on other projects. If we have a better idea of the cost now, so we can populate some capital project for you. We've been working on a couple besides this Ross Road one that we think we can afford to do. So this helps to get a ballpark of what that per mile cost is going to be to do the Mill Street job. So there's that, and then these are the costs to date. So we've got the reclosers for 15.2, 27,600 feet of 336 AAC, 26,000, 9,200 feet of neutral is 7,800. All the hardware, cross arms, braces, everything is 22,000. Total invoices for the distribution assets is 72,609. And then the asphalt so far on Ross Road has been 11,385. That'll be tempered in the future when they're on that, when they'll be on that route, when that will reduce the costs on that. So Ross Road and Summer Street were both on that same circuit, and they've done quite a nice job cutting.
So you're at around 250,000 right now for this.
If you add
the 72 into the project.
Yep, we'll be at about 250.
And then you add on, you're probably gonna be right around 275 when you're all done.
Yep, that's what we're
With
expecting.
flaggers and everything.
Yeah. But it's still, I think it's a reasonable
That's gonna
price,
be
and
huge.
it's gonna help a lot. I'll get some pictures of the substation and how it's already helping by what they're doing. By being able to pull this load off is gonna help a lot.
Oh, huge.
And we're
Yeah.
extending the life of that substation. Kevin and I have had that conversation in my general manager report. I'll discuss that. That we've got some ideas for Water Street that might not be a $2 million bond in 3 years, so.
Boy, that'd be good.
Yeah. So that is that.
That would be great. That would be innovative.
American First Hydro Study update.
They had proposed to FERC their study timelines and guidelines. The studies that were approved were for the season of 2019 and 2020. Meaning the company working for America First, is in town now. They're doing eel counts for a month or two. They're doing electrofishing tomorrow, whether threw them off today. They're doing electrofishing from Twine Mill to Dane Perkins, and then from Dane Perkins upstream. They're laying out their transects now. That'll give them the species. They'll be doing dissolved oxygen studies. They'll be doing macroinvertebrate studies.
Are they within the timeframes that?
They are, yeah. So they'll start this spring, run their study season, and then they'll start the same thing again next spring, run the study season.
I see.
And then they'll submit to FERC what their
I
plan
see.
is.
2 seasons.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Is that document available online
it is.
that we got?
Yep, absolutely. Any questions on?
Someone was asking me the other day, I'm trying to remember who it was, if the studies were ongoing yet. And I guess the answer is they are.
Yes, they are.
And when, do you know when they started?
They landed here.
Actual sampling,
They haven't started sampling yet. They'll start sampling tomorrow.
the water or the fish?
Oh, the water sampling, that is,
So they're
June
gonna-
to September is when they have to start that.
I see. So
they'll
they're
be
going
doing
to
that.
start counting fish tomorrow? Is
They're
that-
going to start counting fish tomorrow, weather permitting.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. That'd be interesting.
They're gonna be able to tell
It'll be
every
interesting what they
species
got
in that river?
Yeah, pretty much. They'll do transects in 4 to 6 feet of water up the entire watershed. And
Wow.
they zap it, fish float, they count, measure, throw them back in.
Yep.
Unless someone
What's it
grabs
just-
I wanna go watch
just
it. Yeah, they've got
stuns
a,
them or something and then,
yeah, it's like a stun gun. They've got a 250, did you see 250 kilowatt generator in the boat? And they put the thing in there, and 4 to 6 feet, they zap, they wait. They have their tape on shore, survey tape, so they know what section they're in. I think they're doing 10-foot sections. And whatever pops up, they have to count, measure, throw back, adjust the voltage so that they're not killing them. Some kinds of detail in that plan. But it'll be interesting. Tomorrow night it was supposed to be last night, weather didn't work. It was supposed to be tonight, weather didn't work. It's supposed to be tomorrow night now for the first electrofishing go at it.
What's the company that's doing it?
CES is one of the companies, and then they've subcontracted with, guy I met with today was from Ohio. That he does this, he travels the state, the country, and electrofishes. Pretty neat
Wow.
little, it was quite a project to find him
Specialty
access.
business?
Yeah.
So, land swap finalization.
Yeah, well, yeah, I got them, so the land swap documents are being drafted. I've seen the survey, I'm waiting for the deed swap, the official document to come from the attorney. We got a pole easement because our fiber comes through that, and nobody ever thought of it. And I said, geez, Ted, the board said okay, but he said, oh yeah, no, you got the easement for the pole, so everything's good, everything's flagged and monumented, and we're just waiting for the docs to be signed.
I was looking at that survey plan that you provided, and our gravel lot that we have been using even goes over the line, even,
Yeah.
we're gonna correct that.
We're gonna fix, well, no, because that's the lot we just swapped. So we already own the gravel where we were. It's the gravel that extended beyond that
Okay.
we didn't own, where the pole is set. And so that we're gonna, another planning that we're working on is what we're gonna eventually do with this parking lot, and that's gonna come into play now because we'll have some better parking for employees, we'll have some better turnaround space, we'll be able to do a better job with drainage.
You're
So-
gonna pave that as well.
we might just rough it and pave the section where they park and then just kind of clean everything else up so that there's a culvert that's right by the corner of that property that we need to get the drainage to go there as opposed to across the parking lot, so that'll help us. It'll be a win-win, I think, for everybody. E-billing and online credit cards. For the month, we've collected $29,258. Year-to-date, $225,363, and we've got 1,130 e-bill customers, so we're in pretty good shape there.
What's it up to total amount, just about 200.
225,363. And then hydro facilities update. So we spent Friday at Dane. Well, Wayne spent the week prepping to fix the boards. We spent Friday at Dane Perkins. Weed whacked everything. This is how it'll look year round, once a week, whether they like it or not. Weed whacked everything to show them what I expect, and that anything less is not acceptable. This is Wayne and Ron putting in boards. I was the cutter. They couldn't keep up with me. Ron was impressed with my accuracy of cutting. I told him I grew up cutting. I taught Wayne how to use a hammer. You look at the nail of the head, not at your hammer. He was missing. I said, look at the nail of the head and swing that hammer. He didn't miss again after that. I said, my grandfather taught me that when I was 5. Apparently you didn't learn that in school. So you can see it was a good foot below the boards. We raked out the trash racks. Let's see, everything got cleaned up. She got a good button up. And then that's today. So this is Friday. You can see the concrete and the boards. This is today. You see no concrete and no boards. back up and running. Everything is going swimmingly.
Till the next tree comes out.
Exactly, and there's soon to be plenty of it. 30 inches of, we got it down, I think next time we could get it down to about an hour if they really want to listen.
Have our safety buoys and
Those-
lines been able to withstand the test of fallen trees?
The buoys at Dane Perkins will be replaced this week. They didn't make it. they took a hard hit, and they're still on the shore. One side held. The other
Do we
side.
have to leave those up during the winter?
No, we don't usually, except this year. And in doing this project, Pomelo Brothers had to come in again we found a couple of brothers that live out in Sanford that have a cherry picker, but it's on the back of the truck. Usually they're on the front and they can't reach. So this tree here was sticking it was like this long. It was another 6 or 7 feet to this. They came in first thing Friday morning and Wayne cut this and they picked it off, and hopefully Mother Nature will take this one and put it downstream. So it was an interesting day there.
Maybe the eels will climb up it.
Right.
Maybe. Pretty good chance they will. So that's the hydro facilities update. Kesslin is still in the plans to have the boards fixed on Friday, and we're still figuring out Twine Mill. And then the Asplund tree trimming update, this one I wish came in better, but so where have they completed in West Kennebunk? It's not really West Kennebunk because it's the other way. Well, yeah, it is. Cole Road. So they've left our substation. They've gone west on Alfred Road, Old Alfred Road, and they're all the way back to Walker Road in Arundel. They're about, this is the end of Walker Road, right here. This is the end of Cole Road at Walker Road. You know where I'm at, Bob?
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
all they've got left to do to complete Cole Road, and then they're gonna bang down Walker and then come Old Northborough. They're gonna do all the Lyman this year.
Wow.
All of them?
All of Lyman. And then this is the next one. So this is looking the other way. This is after it's been cut. This one here still has to be trimmed. But we're not doing any shelving, ground cutting everywhere.
So they finally got the crew that's,
right on the ball. They're doing really, really well.
They're going right along.
Yeah, they're hungry for wood. This is another example of just
it's amazing as quick as they cut it, there's trucks there picking
these
it up.
pine trees.
People picking up the wood.
You know, he's a good 60 feet in the air. He's got a 70-foot bucket, and it's required to be, I think it's 15 feet above the line. And then they are not missing a beat at all. They're doing a great job trimming up there.
Working on beavers.
And then I have,
Looks like the silver.
so that's the hydro, I mean, that's the trees. They'll be coming back to town. I've got no update. This is all that's been done. A bulldozer put half a berm in. And then they cleared out some, I think they're still waiting for trees, but I haven't heard from them lately. I've asked for an
Weren't they
update.
supposed to be done by now?
They were thinking they would be, and I said that you won't, but they were thinking they would be, and they're not. And then this is the front, this is the pile that's still there, there's the arrays, our substation's right here.
Do they actually have a deadline they're going to be held to?
The town's gonna hold them to a deadline, because they've got a surety bond that they can just start drawing from if they haven't completed by then.
As far as we're concerned, we're getting our full power.
Yes, we are. And then that's just another shot of, this is from Old Alfred Road looking, the substation again is over here
So this is
situated.
the plantings we're talking about?
Yep, plant things, grass, clean up the front, make it look presentable again, and then they'll have a ribbon cutting. So sometimes I ask questions because I don't know, and I asked Kevin, I said, Kevin, is there something we can do to the substation to make it live, something cheap and he said, actually, let me check into that. So we talked to CMP. This is the substation, if you were to be in, if you go into Rogers Pond, there's a cut around the substation that comes back around. This is the side of the substation face over towards the sewer district building. All of the brown porcelain, you can't really tell it's brown porcelain, but this is the most concerning part, is these porcelain connections where everything comes together. What Central Maine Power has been doing since I asked Kevin is they have crews that come in and they just replace all the porcelain, because everything in this steel structure is set to standard, and the standard hasn't changed. So the distance from here to here, distance from here to here, the distance from the ground to here, none of those have changed. So by shedding load off of Water Street, we can free up some of these circuits that would allow us to create more room to potentially gain 15, 20-year life on this substation.
You mean by upgrading it a piece at a time?
We do a 3 or 4 hour outage, Central Maine Power would work with us, and we would replace everything in one night.
Wow.
And he said they came down and met with us, said 3 to 4 hours we could have this job completely done. Cheap money compared to building a new substation. They're gonna get us, Kevin's gonna get me the prices hopefully for the next meeting on what this is.
So all they're doing is replacing those.
Yep, replacing anything in there that could fail, and making more room as we shed the load off of the substation. This is what Kevin says. This is the most vulnerable part of our substation, and this can be replaced relatively inexpensively. So we're going to look into what a rebuild of this structure would cost for what we'll need in the future, and compare it to what other options we might have. So that's part of what's coming up.
So we're talking about
That's good news.
Yeah, all of these. See, that one there is gray, so that's a ceramic insulator. These ones up here are brown. When you get up to the top of the sub, they're brown. See, this one's brown and this one's gray. All the brown ones need to be changed because these are porcelain. They shatter, they weather, they age, and when they crack and go, that's a problem for us because that's where all our power comes in, and that's where all our power then goes out to our different circuits.
So what's the next weakest point?
The next weakest point
transformers?
would be the transformers, but those are in fairly good shape. I mean, those are very well taken care of. They're fairly recent compared to the rest of the structure.
Okay.
So as we shed load and as we come up with ideas like this will help us formulate the plan the final plan. And if it's a 25-year fix, and we're fairly certain that we can get 25 years out of it, that'll probably be the recommendation that'll come, is because then if we get this, once again, it meets standards, we get it up to spec so that everything is new and functional, then you don't necessarily have to change anything here. We're making more room so that we can space out our transformers, which is where one of the issues is how close you are to your transformers. But if we can shed the load and reconfigure, then we can lift those transformers up off the ground. There's enough clearance there to make things safe. So it's not a given that we're not going to rebuild that sub, but before we go to that level, we're going to see how much we'd have all into repairing this and getting it to a point where we could use it for another.
How do we make more room?
We're making more room by the Ross Road project.
No, how do we make more room?
Oh, because as we remove load, we can eliminate circuits and transformers.
So, can you show me?
If you go, I didn't get a shot. Let's see. No, I didn't get the right angle. Okay, so in this picture here, it's behind here. So there's the transformers are housed on the other side of this structure. There's 3 of them. And the way they feed currently into all of the circuits is where the clearance has become a problem.
Okay.
So if we consolidate circuits and we can spread apart where the connection has to happen for a circuit, and the transformer is still safe. So that creates space so that if something happens, you can work up there. So by eliminating load, we're not eliminating transformers per se right now. We're eliminating circuits that creates the space that gives them a safe place to work. When you have a lot of circuits coming out of one spot, it's dangerous.
It's a rewiring job, basically.
Re-insulating job, but yeah, pretty much. So that's where the substation planning is at this stage.
That's good news.
There's a new outlook on things here. So
Yeah, no, that's good news
got some
right
money.
there.
we've got a little bit of money anymore.
Yeah.
So there'll be more to come next month.
Thank you. So Bill, we were supposed to have an executive session at 5 o'clock, but the attorney was unable to make it, so our meeting started early. You've joined us now, and we're at the end of our meeting because we didn't have a lot on. We thought our executive session was going to go over. But do you have any questions from the stuff on the agenda or anything that we're going over?
Well, I just kind of wonder how the hydro status was in the notes of the last meeting. It had, I think, some studies that America First Hydro was supposed to do,
Sorry, can
but
we turn the lights back on?
Yeah, sure. American First Hydro's crew is in town. The studies are on our website. It's the study plan that was approved in 2018 with FERC, so they're just, their assets are on the ground, they're electrofishing.
Yeah, I saw.
Maybe
So
tomorrow.
thank you for putting that on the website.
No problem,
Not
they'll,
that I can understand it, but.
exactly, it's a long report. They'll be doing eel surveys for the next month at night. Macroinvertebrates, they'll be putting in sensors to tell water, dissolved oxygen, things like that.
Is that the finalized plan by FERC?
That is the
FERC
study
finalized
plan,
it?
yes. Yep. Yes, sir.
Huh? That was.
And
Any questions?
There's a little more detail to that in the recorded section of the meeting.
If you watch the video.
You heard the essence of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
not much more detail.
Oh, Albert,
Hey, good evening.
I'm laughing, Albert, because the meeting's over.
Yeah, just,
That's good.
There you go.
Any comments?
Yes.
but we're at public comment right now.
Hey, by
Our
the way,
executive meeting ended up getting canceled.
Oh,
At the last minute, the attorney was unable to make it, so we only had like 3 items on the agenda, so.
Okay, well, that's the same as Peter. Peter couldn't make it either.
I talked to Peter. Well, I got a message from Peter, I didn't talk to him yet. He doesn't go out slip and fall.
Do you have any questions or?
Well, I'll share with Todd that Peter and I have been going through the drawings that Todd allowed us to go over in an effort to look at how to get Twine Mill back online. And I later went with Wayne to check some dimensions, and Peter came up with this concept of a pressure release gate, which allows if the gate is closed, the amount of pressure that builds up when the water behind it goes through the butterfly valve wouldn't allow us to open it. And it was interesting when Wayne took me there to do some measuring with a 16-foot pole. We couldn't find the bottom, the pole wasn't long enough. But in any event, he said there's actually a pressure releasing gate, a wooden one, on the wooden head gate in Kesslin.
Yes.
So it's not an unusual solution to trying to equalize the pressure. If we do this, it allows us to close the head gate, and then hopefully we can open, well, when the water drains out behind the head gate, we might be able to wiggle the butterfly valve or figure out why it's jammed or closed or shut. And it's much safer then to remove the manhole behind the butterfly valve, because then supposedly it's not letting flooding water come in.
Right, that would be a rush.
Yeah, that would be but it's in an effort to, with all this rain, who knows when we'll have an opportunity to do the drawdown.
Yeah.
And this would avoid the necessity of doing that. So that's what I have drawings of, and I'll pass them around with the latest stuff that Todd has graciously allowed us to go through the documents.
Well, he's digging for that. That email we got from Brenda Robinson.
Yes?
Did you see that email? She sent it to you and the board in reference to recording of meeting minutes and stuff.
Said we had to have a signed, we were supposed to have a signed minutes.
Our signed minutes meet the requirement of what the signed minutes are.
Yeah, so
I'll have to go back and look.
There might be enough
Maybe I didn't
copies.
read it.
yeah, she sent us an email over the weekend
Oh,
in reference to our meeting minutes, and then
Okay.
we needed to have
signed copy?
we had to have a signed copy of the completed minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And where we're not doing that anymore, we're relying on the recording.
Yeah,
So,
but what I give you is considered minutes per the state statute requirements. So he
Yeah.
signs them, and he has been signing them since we started.
Right, but if you can go back to Brenda's
Sure,
email
I
and
certainly
look
will.
at it and,
Yep, I can check
Well,
with him.
just a quick question. I thought we had decided at the last meeting that he didn't need to sign them.
Well, no, we don't need to approve them, but he'll still sign them.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
yeah, so just,
I will check up on
If there's a
Brenda.
concern, we might as well just approve them. It takes 1 minute.
right.
Well, I think
But we're
he's
not
concerned
really-
about not getting
Yeah.
minutes. You know,
I'll read the email again and,
I mean, I can understand what she's saying. I kind of agree with you. But on the other side of it, I think with the video, there's no
It's
question on what's
complete.
happening.
It's complete.
And what are we doing with the video? You're storing the tape in the vault and,
yeah, we've got a 1 terabyte external hard drive that goes in the vault with the videos on it, and then Blake has them on the YouTube channel, and then I have the links, but the originals are kept in the vault.
Now, is there a way that you could possibly, on the fly, nothing fancy, but every time we go through a different section, can you just like, is there a possible way of making that camera up there mark it? So that if you have to go back to it,
Right?
you can very easily find out. And would that be able to be
Yeah.
transferred over to the terabyte?
Right, let me see if I can do that.
That'd be nice. I just forwarded to the email again, so it's right at the top.
Okay, thank you.
That would, then you'd have everything you
Right,
want.
you're right.
You'd have to go crazy looking for it.
Exactly.
2 hours worth of stuff.
Oh, that's good.
I can do that.
yeah, so if you can just look at that and then respond to her
Yep.
and let her know.
I certainly will.
Thank you. All right, Albert, back to you.
Okay, this first drawing shows on the left is the position of the current gate. The squiggly line, the top of the gate is 3 foot from the surface of the water. And what's drawn on the left is a pressure releasing slide gate that's closed, and the gate is totally open. In order to really lower the gate, we really have to figure out a way to, well, there's a chain right now that keeps it up. And I suppose it might weigh 1,000 pounds or something. The way to open or remove the gate in order to cut a hole in the gate, it's a 1/4-inch plate steel, is to remove the I-beam on the top that you see here. At the same time you pull the gate up and put it on the ground. I suppose you'd use one of your lifts or something. And once it's on the ground, then a contractor can cut the hole in the gate. What you see on the right side of this first page is the gate closed. You see the butterfly valve in an open position, but it's obviously not open right now. That's the dotted circle. And we would open the head gate, or sorry, the pressure relief gate is shown open. And that would be to, at once the butterfly valve is checked, we would be able to pull it out, pull it open with a chain hoist, smaller chain hoist. I've also added 12 inches, or 2 feet to the top of the existing I-beams so that we could always have a chain hoist or enough space for a chain hoist to lower it and raise it independently. We don't want to use a crane every time we want to close the gate. I don't know if it's ever been closed. Do you have any experience with?
I was just gonna say, in summary, what Albert's telling us is in 30 years, that gate hasn't been closed. This is something that wasn't anticipated, I guess, when it was designed, so I know 13 years that it hasn't been done, but Wayne doesn't remember ever hearing any stories from anyone that this had to have been done in the past. They usually just,
Well,
I guess, deal with it.
Peter had all kinds of drawings of Hoover Dam, and every one of those gates had a pressure releasing valve on the gate itself. So the
So
fact that
basically what Albert's summarizing, if you want to finish, then I'll summarize, Albert.
I'm finished.
So the floodgate or the head gate comes down. Let's say this wall is the head gate. This is upstream, other side of the wall is downstream. When you drop that, pressure's equal because both sides has water on it. When you empty the other side, somebody's pushing on this trying to get that metal to go up, it doesn't work. And as you were just talking, Albert, I just thought it might be easier and less expensive to get a tanker truck to fill the water behind the floodgate to equalize that pressure and open it again.
There's no way to get into the back of the, if you go to page 2, it shows a cross-section of the penstock, which is about, I forget how many feet, 20 feet long. And there's no way to put water in that other than opening the gate a small amount, if you could, or the pressure releasing gate that we would propose.
Yeah.
It's a solid tube
Right.
that goes to the back of the gate. This is a section that I drew from the drawings, and the drawing showed a 6-foot 4-inch diameter. And Peter remembers walking into that tube when they were doing the installation, and he said somebody set off a firecracker to
Harass it.
harass him. Yeah.
That must have been a loud one.
So this is something you're working on?
So this is, yes, try, for the worst case scenario where we need to do a drawdown, how do we, restart the generator?
Right.
But we'll try to look at every avenue before we get to that point.
What about the drone?
Drone is kind of questionable, but I found divers that I think I'm gonna have divers come in and do it again with
Because
some
you have to know what
high-powered
you're doing.
lights. Exactly, yeah.
Or you'd be buying
I
it.
did some research. I found a place you could rent one, but they said, well, it could take you 2 weeks to learn how to use it, because we're back to divers.
Or you get somebody that's gonna work it.
The divers would be able to
Visually.
visualize something and maybe take pictures.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't help us to relieve the pressure on the butterfly.
Correct, right.
And the only way to do that is to close the head gate.
So we're still mulling over Twine Mill.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
No, it's been very nice that we were given access with Wayne to go and take a look and measure things, but you always go back and wonder, did I get the dimensions right?
Right, that doesn't make sense, but I wrote it down, so it must be true.
Does anyone from the board have anything else? Bill, you're good?
No, that's right, yeah.
All right. Motion to adjourn?